Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Cool. Thanks to Sammy's birthday shades, which have helped me, and the great haircut yesterday from Steph McNair, Manel and Hair. I think I'm saying that right. It's on Queenster. Anyway, thanks to Steph for the hookup. The haircut and the shades. I have gone from Stephen Urkel and jumped in my cool machine and become Stefan Urkel. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm showing my age with that reference, ain't I? Hey, you're not so cool when you're middle aged. I guess not. No. Um, yeah, this is a rough time. It's been hot for a long time. Had a little break from that now, but I find I'm incredibly on edge. I have way too much to do, and like I'm not getting a chance to rest. And I was like pretty on top of things, but about 4 or 5 days ago, I hit a wall where it's like now it's just so much, and there's just so many details and complications and stuff, I'm kind of in shutdown mode, and that's got me worried. I feel like I'm just gonna blow up, and you don't have to worry about me. I'm not just gonna blow up somebody random or anything like that. But it's just the pressure. I feel a lot of pressure and a lot of things unresolved. And the big reason this post is that Hearts Aren't Disabled, my film, for which I suffered tremendously, lost my sanity, and had a tremendous help from my crew and the other participants who decided to do it, without whom it wouldn't have happened. And it remains, one of the most important pieces of art that I've ever done and ever will do. I think a really, really crowning moment in my career is going to a disability festival called Bosi Fest. I may be pronouncing this wrong. BOSI Fest in Serbia. I think it is wonderful that the film is having a chance to have an international audience, and I'm very grateful to Bosi Fest for accepting us. I think that we are up for like their best picture, which is like what an honor. I'm just some poor dude from Halifax, Canada, and my film's going international. But here's the thing, I'm not going. I gotta stay home. They had offered airfare and accommodation for one, okay? And if I just had my regular CP that I was born with, my mobility issues, my dexterity issues, my regular sort of chronic pain, you can better believe I'd be on that plane. But I'd also have done a lot other things before that I hadn't get the chance to do. Uh, Ever since 2006, my piston went wrong. It's, from what I understand, a condition called neurogenic bladder, and very simply, that means I need to pee a lot. By a lot, we're talking on average during my waking hours. It's okay when I'm asleep, but during my waking hours, it's on average every 30 to 90 minutes. And not only that, it is also very difficult to pee. And not only that, if I don't get those frequent and difficult pees in time, I enter into something called, I call it, because I think it's appropriately, gonorrhea zone. Because if I go into the gonorrhea zone, what happens is my urethra feels like it's on fire and burning, and this condition can last from anywhere from a few hours to a couple of days. So you can see how this would be limiting. Anybody watch me? I hobble out to the cafe. I've been taking the short way down the pathway instead of like Canard and one of the side streets because it's been hot. It's more aggravated in the heat. I have less time that it takes for me to get into that gonorrhea zone, so I have to be like super careful, super fast. You often see me. I'm in a rush. I am never anywhere for long. I've had to deal with this for 16 years. There has been no treatment, no effective treatment. You better believe for years and years and years, I went to the urologist, and, every just see what's new and what's going on. I've tried at least three different medications. Um, there's no more than 10 to 20% effect here. Something might decrease the frequency but increase the difficulty, or vice versa. Um, I guess the one good side of this is that I don't have accidents, at least not yet. That's cool, right? But this is not. Um, this is an unmanageable condition for me. It has forced me to have an almost entirely home-based life. I can't work. I can't network for my career, like say being out at comedy shows and stuff. Oh yeah, I can show up and do the spot, but I can't stay around and network and get to know people. And I'm not a very extroverted guy anyway. But if I didn't have to deal with that peeing, you can believe I'd never, like, unless I had another show to do or another, I would have never left a show early in my life. I would have sat through all of them. Like, I know how to have manners, right? But I can't help it because, like, and and if you were in my condition, like, what would you do? Have manners or give yourself a burning pecker, right? And sometimes you can't get the time, can't avoid it anyway. But if you have the chance to stay out of that gonorrhea zone, and if it's as bad as what I say it is, and it is, then you would most likely avoid that. Now, before you like jump down my throat about seeing a doctor, I've seen them all. I have gone through extensive dietary stuff, change, try to see if I could eliminate it, and all I've come back with is that it's part of my cerebral palsy, and I it is not at this time treatable. Some people say, "Oh, geez, you could just get a catheter." No, no, I can't because I've had a catheter in me about 10 times, uh, and it like just in the hospital when it's been acting really bad, um, and it only worked about two of those times. And one time in particular, I went to see the urologist, and it he told me he said, "Oh, geez, Josh, you're peeing like way better." They did a urine dynamics test, and he's like, "You're peeing way better without the catheter than you were with it." So, like, good that I don't have to have one of those, but bad that, it can't help me if I really need it, right? So, Botox is an option. And the problem with Botox is that you may definitely need a catheter if you're using Botox. So, Botox would decrease the frequency, but could substantially increase the difficulty. And then, if you increase the difficulty too much and are not peeing at all, then you risk kidney failure, right? So, it's not a safe option for me. The only test I haven't undergone is it's a test of functionality. And what they do is they stick a catheter up your dick, and they stick a catheter up your bum and pump you full of shit like it's almost like getting an enema or something, but pump you through dye. And it's just to test your functionality. And it can hurt you, like you can be sore for a couple of days afterward, and I already am half the time, right? So, and the only thing is it's not going to influence treatment in any way, right? Like whether I have to, look, I know it's fucked, right? So some treatment, like there's still only these certain options available. It's not that the results of this functionality test are going to automatically yield a new pill or miracle cure. So I have to suffer with this. I asked the Bosy Fest folks to send me the cash instead. I'm trying to explain this, succinctly, this condition to them. And there's a little bit language barrier, so I don't think they quite understood me, but they have, responsibility to their funders and such that, um, you know, that no, they can't just give you the money and could somebody go, in my stead. And, Reet, my wonderful co-director, co-producer, is going to go, and, she's got folks over in Europe, so it makes a lot of sense, right? Makes a lot of sense. And I'm grateful that she's there and able to do it and represent the film and do us proud. But the irony is never going to be lost on me that I'm too disabled to go to a disability festival. And I mean, you want to look at the bright side of things sometimes. Like, the only other thing in my like physical life that has been worse than this has been my sleep disorder of chronic insomnia and what eventually led to a psychosis. And I unfortunately had to go through all that, the 4 months of suffering and whatever, during filming, no less, right? But that did finally help me get on some medication for that and an antipsychotic and a sleeping pill and a little bit of melatonin, magnesium, the combination all together, I typically get regular sleep now. So, in many respects, like my mind and stuff, like I'm feeling better than I ever have in my adult life. But I've really been pushing it, applications, working, writing, just like doing so much stuff and like yielding no results. And so where I stand right now, like the one thing that I would number one change about my life if I could was this PM because boy, I'd be so free. Like you can't even imagine. Like imagine not having to coordinate every move and every outing and like if I could get your shoes on and your coat and then oh gotta get a pee right before I leave and then oh I might only have half an hour to be out today because if I try and strain and pain and don't get it there while I'm out in public then that's gonna put me in a gonorrhea zone too. So um yeah, and make no mistake, I would not be any big extrovert that would like loud crowds and noise and busyness and stuff, but I'd be going on hikes with Sam, I'd be hitting up a lot of nature spots, I would travel, um, I would be able to work, say, a job that I don't necessarily like that much just to have more money to have a higher quality of life. I do like being home and having people in. It's one of my favorite things to do, actually. People with whom I feel connected and I know I can trust. Not everybody. I'm not open to the general public, just willy-nilly like that. I'm very, very cautious about who enters my home and my space and my life in general. But yeah, like just put this in perspective. So I, I've always had the bad mobility and the um, chronic pain and dexterity and stuff like that. When I was about like 19, 20, I was this was the final days of me living growing up, and I was down um, below the square, Seaview Co-op, and I walked from Seaview Co-op to the somebody's place past the pubs way down in the West End and back that day, and I was totally fine. And I'd be doing stuff like that, and it's like didn't even get my mental health in order till like the start of 2005 when I delved into art like deeply, but was like super isolated and stuff, but like started to begin to forge the path that I would take in life. And then '06 the PN started, and it's like, yeah, I still, I can still pursue these things, but um, I can't do like the the networking that's necessary, to succeed at this stuff. And so I can still like do the work, but and I'm trying hard to get another grant right now. The first round was rejected. It would be much, much simpler if like somebody out there in Ethan that's listening to this that's, kind of spare it or something could give me, about $7,000 to do this. This is a grant for poetry for my poetry that will I'm working with a painter and a musician who will do a painting for each poem and provide uh, vocal and harmonies and accordion along with the reading, and it's to pay them and to make books and stuff. And because I've gotten these grants before, but what happens is the welfare gods cut me off entirely, and they cut me off, say, at a much higher rate than somebody who has been, say, working at McDonald's. And that's not to single out, but just a waged worker, like so somebody who's well enough, doesn't have to chase their pee all day long to do an 8-hour shift, is gets a less clawback rate because they think that I'm a business with these arts grants. And my argument was, no, I'm an employee of the Nova Scotia government, just like you are. Um, and but if anything, right, the line should be thrown in the other direction. I am more disabled in the sense that I can't be doing things that require me to be out and about or at things for a long span of time. So if anything, I should be clawed back less because I am more inhibited. And there's no kind of category for me. They won't let me onto the disability um, program that's supposed to be more lucrative. One of the intake workers was telling me not to think of it as a money piece. And it's like, well, I'm only making 9.85 a month, and I live on my grandmother's leftovers. My grandmother's going to be about 96 years old in a couple months, right? So I know that part's going to stop soon. So I don't really have a plan post that, but I know I'm going to have to make some changes. Maybe no more coffees. Go to the library instead, and not spend $2 a day. Save like the $60 a month or whatever. And I'm okay. I'm getting by now. But just all this to say, um, I feel that I have some really large challenges. I guess I'm lucky that this disorder has not moved to critical and is still just chronic. But because it is chronic, it is never goes away, right? So I have to live with it, and it's really really hard. So yeah, that's it for now. Good for the film, but I gotta stay home. Okay, ciao.